shoot! I have the figure! This will keep me safe from you people. Aliens are awesome! You people, on the other hand. This movie came out in, what, 1996, I think? Yeah, 1996. And this is so cool. I love the way the box looks. I kind of would love to have one to rock and one to stock because I just love the way this looks in the box. I like the box art they chose, even on the back too. I've always, as I've talked about in my Kang and Kodos review and other times, loved that sort of classic, sort of rocket era, Astro era, classic sci-fi that came out of the 1930s and 40s and 50s. I love that look, and like the painted comic book art by all those talented artists who did like amazing fantasy, weird fantasy. The design team that worked on Mars Attack was able to really combine Tim Burton's sort of Edwardian sense of style with the kooky sci-fi and the weird plots that Tim Burton likes to do that fit his character and personality. I was 10 years old, approaching 11 when this film came out. I remember going to see this in the theater with my dad, and me and my dad looking at each other multiple times throughout the film like, this is wild! And I love it. I love it to death. I love the designs. It's been some years since I've seen the film. I think I watched it with Mrs. Euler's Workshop, who had never seen it until after she married me. And even she was like, what is going on? Oh, it kind of looks like the shape of a fish. Anyways. Woo! But this whole classic sci-fi, like giant brain on the head look, that sort of 1950s teal turquoise color that you would see, that dark blue and the silver accents with the bright green, it just really, really sells the time period and the fun nature of it while also keeping it a little creepy. He obviously made the aliens have these sort of skull faces too, which is definitely a deviation from this, what we might consider classic alien designs today, but I think it works again because it's that sort of Tim Burton Edwardian mashup of styles. Look at all the hands! We've got a left pointy, a right trigger, a left reaching, a right reaching, a right grabbing, a left grabbing, and a left trigger. All the hands that you would need. And apparently this alien of ours is left-handed here because they didn't want him to point with his right hand. So here is his alien rifle. Ooh, and this does slide. It's got a moving part. Very cool. Neat. I actually like this because that's going to help with his ability to hold and pose in different poses. That's actually pretty cool. I had no idea that was going to happen. He's got his ray gun. Look at that ray gun. That looks great. Let me compare this to the ray gun that comes with Kang and Kodos. You've always got to have the rings and the wings, baby. Here is Kodos's ray gun with his rings and his wing. And here is Mr. Mars Attack's rings and his wing. Classic, classic. I'm curious to see how this bubble looks. Oh. Comes right off too. Okay. Didn't know the bubble was going to be removable. Hello. How are you, sir? Greetings, and welcome to Earth. So far, so good. Let's take a close look here. He's got this little plug for his ray. Is it for the ray gun? Yeah, it's for the ray gun. Check that out here in a second. But just kind of checking out these paint apps. Super 7 made in China, 2024 Tops. Tops has the rights to Mars Attacks. Neat. Didn't know that. There's a little tiny shift in the finish on this little edge right here. You can see on that ring. The piping. I don't really care about that though. There's a little nick right there in the piping. There's a little finish flaw on the blue right where my fingernail is. But there's a little flaw in the piping right there. There's a little thing going on right here. I don't know if that's supposed to be there though. Kind of looks like it's supposed to be there. It's just very subtle. This little piece right here. Nice and soft rubber piping. The head looks good. There's the jaw move? It does. Look at that. The jaw opens. I didn't know that. I just kind of ordered it. Okay, so there's like some little things here in the plastic on the mold, but that's so everything I just pointed out to me is a nitpick, right? If it was like dramatic, like I could see this color in a strike across here, right? Or I could see the color of the shiny fingers like painted up onto the glove, or I could see like a big old chunk or something, that would tick me off. This is well within action figure spec of what I would expect from this figure. I'm totally fine with the way this looks now. Articulates, that's a pretty good amount of movement. You've got a lot of good left and right. Pretty good wiggle for the shape of the head and the way it fits into the suit, so that's not too bad. It's enough to get it up and open the mouth, so you can have him doing the... And his shoulders go up to the piping, all the way around. They're moving nice. They're obviously new, so they're going to have some rigidity to them. Nice. He's got a lot of articulation, too. Look at that. The bicep swivels. Elbow joint is a little... Nope, it's good. Okay. Couldn't tell at first. Elbow joint's got good movement. Single jointed, but that's expected for the suit design. That's pretty good. That's great. Look at that. Look at all the movement I can get out of his arm. Nice. And then the forearm. There isn't a split of this forearm here. The wrist moves around. You've got the back and forth on the hands. Looks good to me. He can do his forearm little rollies at the gym. He can do some P90X if he wants to.
I don't want you to bang your joints. Ow, see? That's not good.
The hip joints. You've got the up and down there. Obviously, this is going to limit the movement of the hip joint, but that looks pretty good. Feels nice and strong. And it's a ball joint, too. Ooh, look at that. And it's got the... sort of, what is that, posterior, anterior rotation, or inward and outward. I'm not sure what the correct anatomical term is, and even for a Martian, I wouldn't know. And then we've got the joint at the knee, which is nice and strong. Oop, and there's detail inside there, which is nice. And we've got the rotation here at the top of the boot, which I'm thankful for, and we've got the swivel on the bottom. So, okay, so there is some paint coming off of the swivel joint there, so that looks like that just didn't 100% cure. And it's also on a different type of plastic for the joint, so I actually kind of wouldn't expect it to even be there, to be honest. So that doesn't bother me. I'm just going to scrape it off. The type of plastic they used is a slippery type of plastic, so I wouldn't even expect the paint to be on there in the first place, honestly. So that doesn't really bother me. Same thing over here. Up and down. I'm going to go ahead and scrape the paint off the front here, so that doesn't do that as well. There we go. Okay. So, I don't know, some of you may have an issue with that. I don't. It's pretty close to the same dang color. It's molded in that color, so this is very slick. Kind of impossible to paint, even with the paints that are chemically meant to bond with that type of plastic. And then, obviously, you're rubbing two things directly together. It's going to scrape the paint off, so that doesn't bother me. The only thing that could fix that is a complete design change, and I'm not sure that's really worth the time anyways, especially for the size of the figure. Oh, you don't have a lot of room to play with. So you get a lot of room, a lot of movement with legs and arms. That's pretty great. He can do quite a bit. Very impressed. There's obviously no torso articulation, but they seem to make up for it with the arms and the legs, so I'm very happy about that. The pack is secured nice. The hoses are secured just fine. I mean, I'm pretty happy with this so far. So if we put the plug in the blaster and see what that looks like, will it fit? Yes. The paint on the little plug is a little thick. You can kind of hear it crackling into there. Once it's on, it should probably stay on. Just FYI. And we've got his little blaster. Let's switch out some of the hands here. Let's see what we can do. Oh, I didn't look at the dome yet. So this dome... So here's the thing, and I guarantee you there's going to be somebody complaining about the quality of the dome, because see how flexible that is? I guarantee you somebody's going to complain about that. The reason I'm not is because I know how hard this is to do in plastic and get even this shape, because this is like a wine glass shape, like one of those stubby wine glasses at the top of a wine glass. So to get this shape, even with this is a reasonably clean bottom here. This is, I'm not sure if it's inflated into the mold or not. I can't remember. There's a few ways to do it. But because the top of this is wider than the actual sleeve of this, right? you've got to inflate this into with air into the mold and let it cool enough to demold it, because there's no way otherwise. You have to create, as I break it, you have to create 2 shell pieces like they had to do with Kang and Kodos. This is the same concept here with Kang and Kodos's in the sort of weird Boolean extension shape thing you've got going on here. But because this is so large, trying to inflate this and get this made in this hard plastic is going to be impossible. So they made 2 thermoform plastic, clear acrylic pieces that link together, because it's kind of the only way you can really do that, unless you have a professional glass blower blow you an actual like vacuum tube for this, because it's kind of emulating a vacuum tube, which actually would be kind of fun. If somebody wants to do that for me, I might pay you if you could replicate the exact ring size here so that it would fit around Kang and Kodos. I'd pay for glass ones of these. That'd be pretty sweet. But this one didn't have to have the tip on it either, so they probably could explore using a softer. That's probably why the plastic is softer as well, because you need to do that sort of, I'm assuming that sort of heat and air pressure forming inside the mold, which is also why you're going to get a little bit of inconsistency in the thickness towards the bottom here. You can see it right there, but it also makes for a very clear plastic. So you put them over Click and Clacker, Mr. Clacker here, and you can have it fit and still be nice and clear for this guy's head. So I think that is a nice trade-off, and I think this actually looks great on him. Go right there, you can see the little dot, but I'm sure you're not going to be doing a lot of top-down shots. And again, trying to get rid of that dot because of the mold needs the plastic needs a place to go inside the mold. It needs an evacuation chamber or slot or hole or tube. That's what that's for. It's been cut off and like polished or cut off and sanded to cover that, but it's very well hidden in the reflection. It's hard to see, even with my hand behind it, until I tilt it, right? So straight for a little bit forward from straight on, you can, it looks great. What am I trying to say? It looks great. I'm very satisfied with it. And the people who are going to complain about this, I just don't think understand how these things have to be made. Whether it's Super 7 or Hot Toys or NECA, it doesn't matter. This is the technique all of them are going to have to explore, and they're just going to have to pick their plastic, pick their mold type, and pick their poison. This is the one Super 7 picked, and I'm actually very happy with it. So I don't really know what they could have done differently, again, instead of actually making it in actual glass. I'd love to see this film like remastered with new CGI, because the CGI was definitely limited in the way that like lighting and textural conditions and stuff would have worked back then, even though they achieved some really amazing effects back then with the technology they had. I'm a big fan as well of like cool ray gun designs and things that look like shrink rays and stuff like that. The design that comes with this figure from the film is really fun. I couldn't wait to get this and display this. And this definitely being something that slipped into the pocket of my subconscious. I don't know how immediate, direct, or resounding it is with stuff that I do directly today, but it's definitely in there, at least on the level of things that I appreciate. So, well, I gotta say, it's really hot in my workshop, and I noticed the hip joints did get a little bit looser than they were when I first took them out of the box. I think 50% of that is just because my shop is like probably pushing like 95, 98 degrees in here because I don't have the fan on. Otherwise, it would mess up the audio in my video. So, but I gotta say, I am loving this. I'm probably going to get a second one. He needs a buddy. They did make a version that's got like battle damage. Not really my style. I don't really do scenes like that, but I think 2 of these guys on like an alien planet surface, or having these guys fighting my Cosmic Legions by Four Horsemen Studios, or like backing up Kang and Kodos would be really fun to do like a diorama for. So if you were on the fence about these and you're a fan of this style of art, you're a fan of this movie, you're a fan of really cool posable figures, I would say go ahead and go for it. I don't think you're going to be that upset. If you're really on the fence and you were like, I don't know, I'm not really a fan of this movie, then maybe it's not for you. But I think it's great. I actually really want to get a second one. Very happy with this. Thank you, Super 7, for getting me my figure so fast. I know when the pre-order dropped, I ordered this within a few minutes of the PO window because I knew I'd want to check this out.